I've decided that FTL Multiverse is going to be my example for picking apart the concept of meta-narrativity, a writing trope that can either enhance an otherwise average piece of media into meteoric heights, or take an absolutely amazing piece of media and turn it into an absolute dumpster fire. There's rarely a middle ground. If you plan on adding a form of meta-narrativity into your story, say like fourth wall breaking, you're flipping a coin. If it lands on heads, you have made the most amazing piece of fiction humanity has ever seen. But if it lands on tails, death. Not really though, just, be careful with this writing trope. FTL is a roguelike game about being a space captain. Similarly to Minecraft, it's an objectively 10 out of 10 niche gameplay experience that does what it sets out to do perfectly. Even if you personally don't enjoy the game, you can see how perfectly it's put together. In FTL, you are a spaceship captain on a quest to stop the evil rebellion in order to save the galaxy. Reverse Star Wars style, where the rebels are alien xenophobes and the Giga Chad alien-inclusive Federation is fighting the superior rebellious force, and you are the Feds' last and only hope. The gameplay is notoriously difficult. The pause feature is absolutely essential as you figure out which of the enemy systems to target with each of your unique weapon types, which all function differently, whilst also figuring out which of your special systems you want to employ in order to dodge attacks or give yourself some time, disable specific systems, whilst also keeping in mind the missiles currently 2 milliseconds away from blowing up your weapons room. The fire in your oxygen bay is also, a bit of a problem right now, and there's also a giant alien mantis currently slicing your pilot in half. All of this, every single thing I just listed, is happening at the exact same time. You need to pause unless you are one of the 5 human beings that are capable of playing this video game without the most essential feature. This game is extremely difficult, even on easy mode. On hard mode, you may as well be an Axis power military vessel standing against the entire British Navy, except the Brits have all been replaced with X-Men. FTL Multiverse is an extremely expansive mod, whereas the base game has a few dozen ships to unlock. Multiverse has over 300. It also has added weapons, maps, lore, characters, art, extra difficulty settings, just so much that I can't even begin to list it all. And the vast majority of it is super high quality, to the point that many people in the FTL scene view Multiverse as FTL2. The characters are fantastic, the world building is deep and expansive, the art is gorgeous. I can't really focus on one singular character or piece of lore or anything because I'm spoilt for choice. There's nowhere to begin. However, it's this quality that ends up being FTL Multiverse's downfall, because despite it having the same level of quality as an actual fully fledged video game, at the end of the day, Multiverse is still a mod, and classic modded video game tropes conflict massively with storytelling in proper video games. When it comes to mods for video games with great communities, FTL is very much high on this list. It's a nice break, not talking about, the really toxic stuff like the power scalers and the shippers and stuff. The FTL community is just, I love them. They're so good. They're just so nice. A lot of talent in the art and stuff. They're great people. And one of the things they do really well is like the meta jokes. Every community has the meta jokes that only the community understands, and it's just such a nice experience to be a part of a community with all these really niche indie jokes that you can share and mess around with, because in real life it's rare we have friends like that just happen to be in the very oddly specific communities that we're also in. So it's just such a great community, and the meta stuff is really funny. However, because Multiverse is a mod, the meta humor not only finds itself in the community but in the actual game itself, and this meta-narrativity it's severe and genuinely it kind of ruins the whole experience for me. Now, I want to preface what I'm about to say with the fact that not only is FTL my favourite game ever, but the Multiverse mod is so integrated in my mind with FTL itself. I would also say FTL Multiverse is my favourite game ever, not just my favourite mod ever, but my favourite game ever. The amount of incredible content in this mod is truly staggering. The sheer size, the gameplay, the art, the characters, the narratives. Multiverse, it has it all. It's significantly higher quality than not only just the AAA slop we all like to dog on, but also it's better than a lot of games that people genuinely love, like proper video games, not just modded games like all the Pokemon ROM hacks you see, Skyrim, Thomas the Tank Engine mods, not just all that great quality mod stuff. I'd say FTL Multiverse is better than a lot of genuinely really good video games. That being said, the meta nature of the super duper secret ultra late game final quest that 99% of people probably never reach, it also just so happens to ruin 99% of what makes the game so special to me. Big spoilers ahead. Her is the cosmic horror who is revealed to be the one who strings together every scenario in every single one of your runs in order to create the oddly specific chain of events necessary, including bringing a gnome to the center of the multiverse to gain the totality of her eldritch power back so she can torture everyone in the multiverse for all eternity. When she is down on her luck after getting her cosmic horror ass beaten by my G-Vans JoJo time freeze and my ultra sweaty weapon combos, she reveals she suspects the truth that all of the multiverse, every cluster, all of her existence, and everything within the game is, well, just that, a game. All of everything is created just for the amusement of some higher dimensional being, the player, and for me, this ruins everything. All of the lore, the world building, the characters, everything that drew me into this game's world and immersed me within it as the picture of a diverse, living, breathing galaxy is built up over literally hundreds of hours of god-tier content. The game itself slapped me in the face and told me not to be immersed anymore because it's all just fiction. When the meta nature of a fictional experience is not only just played for laughs, but is also the core of the very lore of the series, it needs to be done extremely delicately or it can just obliterate everything. One Shot is a great example of meta-narrativity being implemented into a video game engagingly, as the lore of the world, spoilers for One Shot by the way, is that the world of One Shot is just a simulation, but the character you control is as real as you and cannot return to their equally real universe unless you beat the game. And it turns out that the simulated universe you're playing in could also be filled with potentially sapient simulated people you grow to care about on your journey as well. You can see how the meta nature of the game's lore is directly contributing towards your connection to the characters. The meta-narrativity is a tool that actively enhances the story-consuming experience. Other more well-known examples of well-executed meta-narrativity would of course be The Matrix, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and Inception. What all these meta stories have in common is that the meta-narrativity serves an emotionally poignant purpose and doesn't erase your immersion, as the characters we actually care about are actually real, lore-wise, not in real life. And if it turns out they are fake, then this is a writing choice designed to emotionally tug on our heartstrings as significantly as a character's death would, or at the very least, it would make us think deeply on the true nature of reality itself. Take Doki Doki Literature Club, where the fourth wall is disturbingly chipped away, slowly but surely, as you realise there is something seriously wrong with this cute little dating sim, until suddenly the fourth wall is irreversibly, horrifically shattered, and you realise there is something living inside your game. Something that knows its world is fake. It can see you, it knows your name, it wants you. Now I ask you, when the video game FTL Multiverse reveals that it is the video game FTL Multiverse, the characters aren't real, the multiverses aren't real, none of it is real, the ships you worked so hard to unlock, you spent hundreds of hours on those, you, not me, I'm fine, I didn't spend, it's none of it's real, it's just, what purpose does this serve? Why have you done this? What exactly is added to the experience of FTL Multiverse by the video game FTL Multiverse telling you it's just a video game? The mysterious and enigmatic Sylvan is not real. The various alien species, factions and political plots, none of that's real. The rebellion does not exist. Of course, I know these things. I'm not out here parasocializing with alien mantoids, but the point of fiction is to make you temporarily forget that you are consuming fiction. It's to get you immersed in a world so deeply, so richly, that it's almost like being sucked into a portal, that you forget that it's fiction, that you become one with the world and its story, and you care about the characters. And for video games, it gives you a reason to immerse with the gameplay for reasons that just aren't entirely gameplay orientated. Like FTL Multiverse and FTL in general is a really fun game to play if you're into that sort of game, but the lore always gives even an incredibly well-made gaming experience that extra immersion that just multiplies it from like, oh, this is a 10 out of 10 game into a truly unique experience. I was so immensely immersed into the lore of FTL Multiverse, all of the colourful characters and unlocking all the ships, enjoying every second of the gameplay and the dialogue and all the options, only to reach the absolute pinnacle of the Omniverse and be told by a cosmic horror anime girl that none of it mattered. I wish I recorded my reaction to this reveal. That her meta reveal was 9/11 for autistic space wizards. I am still absolutely flabbergasted at this writing decision. The world of FTL Multiverse mattered a lot to me, but then it didn't, because the game literally told me to my face, none of this is real. Wake up, wake up, wake up! A reader lives 1,000 lives before he dies. The man who never reads lives only one. JK, stories aren't real. Get a job, Lamau. George R.R. Martin. Meta usage is done a lot in FTL Multiverse, and the reason this is the case is because still, by its nature, FTL Multiverse is a mod. It is extremely high quality. It has so much effort put into it. It is, if you didn't know it was a mod and you made someone play it, they would just think it's just a straight up game in of itself. But it's this truth. It's the fact that despite it all, it is just a mod, that the meta stuff becomes really ingrained into the experience. So it's really not FTL Multiverse's fault that the her reveal ruins the game for me, because I am treating it as I would any other fully fledged video game. And so it is on me that my experience has been somewhat ruined by the meta stuff, but also I would argue that it really doesn't matter if it's a mod or a fully fledged game. It is still a deeply expansive experience that you're playing, and I mean, it's not like your dopamine synapses are like drawing lines between mod, video game, this is fan stuff, this is real stuff. It's an experience, and for me the experience was quite ruined by the meta stuff. And even still, I am being a little bit cynical. My solution to her is just to headcanon my way into just ignoring these specific lines. In fact, you could interpret her dialogue and the overarching quest line to be, so it says this higher dimensional being that the cultists recognize as this entity that exists throughout all your runs. So each like run in FTL will last like a couple hours, maybe a few hours if you pause as much as I do. And then, but when you do the secret stuff, the character's like, oh, it's you. You're the one controlling all this. It's you. And you could interpret this you, not as like the player, but as this other higher dimensional being like her, like they call it outer gods, elder gods, something, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. But you could like interpret them, these lines to mean that this is another one of these elder gods that I guess you are just playing as, who is then, I don't know, playing as the characters. But this isn't really the immediate interpretation. But then again, as a mod, maybe you do have more power to just headcanon your way through. It doesn't really matter as much. You're not really going to get sued by fan artists. But it's really hard for me to headcanon my way specifically this way, because the entire Chaos questline has eldritch beings constantly communicating to you, the player. And when her first interacts with you, it's by opening separate tabs on your PC in order to communicate with you. And that is really cool. It is really interesting how they do it. It's very doki doki. Yeah, the fourth wall isn't just shattered in Multiverse. It's completely nuked its inelegant process, which for me inadvertently also destroys all of the lore. All of this isn't to say that meta-narrativity is just a curse. It can't be done, because in fact some of my favourite pieces of media of all time employ fourth wall shattering and all that funky stuff. You just got to be really careful when you are adding it in. Having a cosmic horror anime girl telling you nothing is real isn't exactly being careful. Overall, I love FTL's gameplay enough to where I can just headcanon my way through the her reveal and the poorly introduced all the meta lore. And a lot of the meta stuff is just funny little jokes, like the Sylvan stuff. I don't want to get into too much. I mean, I've kind of spoiled the entire thing. But there is a lot of good meta stuff in there, like the Sylvan and the Sylvan Nexus and the odd jokes you get direct towards the player. It is cute. So funnily enough for me, FTL Multiverse is like this crazed sine wave between 10 out of 10 and 0 out of 10, depending on my mood. Meta-narrativity isn't a problem that plagues Simply Multiverse. It's kind of this phase the indie game developer community is going through right now, and it all really stemmed from Undertale. Undertale has a very emotionally heated community filled with people that I could defeat in a Luton Street knife fight, so I don't really fear them when I say that Undertale's meta stuff isn't necessarily bad, but it is very hit or miss. Undertale's meta nature is directly tied to the game's gameplay, lore, characters, dialogue, all of it, and it truly gives the game a completely unique energy. Well, its meta stuff was unique at the time, I'm not so sure anymore. I just think it's a bit difficult to get immersed into a game that's so in your face by how it's just a video game, but it does get a plus point for tying this fact into the gameplay's difficulty, as the funny skeleton man bullies you for getting your ass kicked by him. Every time you re-challenge him, he dogs on you, he calls you out for the fraud you are. And every single despicable action you take because it's just a video game is called out by the in-game characters. Even when you reset your actions, they remember. The fourth wall is broken to make you feel uncomfortable for having committed the actions that, let's be honest, we're all going to have fun committing. People that follow the laws of the road in GTA are the real psychos, not us. So Undertale's meta stuff isn't objectively bad, it's just personally I don't like it that much, but I definitely see its positive points. The games it influenced, however, kinda just took the meta aspect and slapped it into their games with just reckless abandon. A great example of this slappery is Danganronpa V3, which I haven't played, but I've heard the legends. Spoilers for the entire series, by the way. I'll give you a second to click away. 3, 2, 1. There is no story, or rather, it's just a story. The end game reveal is that the entire plot of V1, V2, and V3 have just been game shows. None of any of the character stuff, deaths, dialogue, growth, developments, relationships, none of that was real. It was all just an act. Cool. Basically, the devs sat down their players, grabbed them by the face, and told them, do not be immersed in this video game. It is not real. None of the characters are real. None of this matters. None of it happened. This is what we call a pro-gamer move. I would argue that this isn't the worst example though. I mean, it's not like the lore is just, this is a video game. These characters are merely pixels. The characters still exist in universe. They're just following a script because they're actors. But surely no piece of media would obliterate the consumer's immersion for no reason at all. Why? Why would anyone do that? Everhood is an amazing game. Like FTL, it's got super difficult and rewarding gameplay, colourful characters, and interesting lore. It's been a while since I've seen any Everhood stees, but basically the lore here is that there are a bunch of quirky, immortal beings that have been alive for so long, they all simply want to die. They've experienced absolutely everything, every joy, euphoric bliss, act of depravity, except murder, I guess. So the world is deeply disturbing. The character you play as could potentially have the power to kill the immortal, to end the endless. You're immersed, you're invested. Where is this going? What is the right thing I should be doing? God, this gameplay rocks. And then there's this one little line, uttered out of nowhere, that goes a bit like, put this video game back on the shelf. What? Why? Why did it say that? I was immersed. Why did the video game just tell me it's a video game? Why? Can you imagine if Lord of the Rings did that? Gandalf, what was it like? Dying? Pippin, you idiot. We're not real. I get there's probably some great philosophical reason that I'm just not understanding as to why all of these video game characters keep telling me they're not real. And honestly, I just don't give a fuck. Video games are like prostitutes. I am paying you to tell me our love is real. I don't want you whispering your price tag in my ear on the third thrust. Meta-narrativity can be done well, but it is difficult to do so. You just can't slap it onto a story as simply as you can humans are the real monsters plot point in a Witcher 3 side quest. Because adding meta elements to a series is a delicate process. It's a bit of a gamble that can either break or elevate a series to cosmic heights. Then a funny skeleton man came along, memed the shit out of meta stuff, and then every indie dev saw that and tried capitalizing on it just by slapping fourth wall breaking into every single one of their video games. In the worst case scenarios, creators will make a genuinely really good video game, and then just out of nowhere they'll kneecap you, tie you to a chair, look you directly in the eyes and say, "It's just a video game, bro! Sans isn't real! He's real to me!" Meta-narrativity is a plague that has affected the lore of many great games. Too many, if you ask me. But I think it was a trend. I don't think it's going to last forever, because these things rarely do. Trends in video game development come and go, like adding this feature or this feature, this type of story. Oh, everything needs to be open world, blah, blah, blah. So I think hopefully it's going to die out, but it has caused a few issues. And if you disagree with me, well, this is just a video essay. None of it is real.